Jim Rohn said, "Success is what you attract by the person you become." How do you become? You become by designing the exact person you want to be and becoming that person right now. You see, I find that most people believe that success is by accident or by luck. I believe that success is by design. Hi, I'm Alfonso Cuadra, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and creator and host of this program. You see, I went from being a 15-year-old, war-torn, homeless high school dropout to running a successful corporation by 20 years old. But what happened? Did the world change? Did people change? No. I discovered that for things to change in my life, I had to change. And I did. At 17 years old, I made a list of goals and designed the exact life I wanted to live. I achieved everything on that list by 20 years old. Success is not by accident, it is by design. Welcome to the Success by Design show, where we bring you the stories and formulas of successful people that have designed their own success. Today, we're talking about our youth and how they can design their success. And in our studios today, we have Sabrina McTaggart, and she is a career coach for the youth. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, do our youth today need career coaching, and why?
The world of work has really changed a lot. We see the headlines all the time. The economy is scary. The world of work has changed. It used to be 10 years ago, you could just do all the right things. You could work hard, go to college or university, pop out at the end and get a job with the government, get a job as a teacher. That has all changed. We all have seen the headlines of the person with a BA in sociology who's working as a barista at Starbucks. We all hear the stories of the person with a master's degree in commerce or business who's driving a taxi cab. Young people need to be very, very clear about who they are and what they're good at, and sometimes they do need some coaching to help guide them through that process.
So what is the youth? How does this start? Do you contact the parents or do you contact the youth themselves? Do they come to you? How do youth today? How do these youth find the guidance? How do they find you?
Well, sometimes using the word guidance, picking up on that, sometimes they go to their guidance counselor, but the guidance counselors are so stretched thin. They've got hundreds of students. So sometimes it's the young people approach me, sometimes it's their parents, and they're coming to me saying, we're stressed. I don't have a clue. I'm in grade 11, I'm in grade 12, and I don't have a clue what I should be doing. Should I be studying arts? Should I go to college? Should I be going into, I don't really like math, but maybe I should go into engineering because that's where all the jobs are. How do I know where the jobs are? The parents are stressed because they're looking at an investment of maybe $60,000 for one child to go to university. That's a big pile of money. If you were going to spend $60,000 on anything, a car, a vacation, wouldn't you do some research?
ROI.
Exactly. So they're saying, I would rather pay a career coach a little bit of money up front to ensure that this is a good investment and I'm going to get a good return on my investment. And that's how they're approaching me. They're coming.
Now, do you find that often the people that do hire you are parents that do have coaching themselves, and they see the benefits of what it is to have a personal coach, a life coach? So they're seeing the benefits in their lives, so they obviously want to give that to their kids.
You know, it's an interesting question. I would say it's exactly the opposite. They're saying, I didn't have a coach. Oh. They're coming to me and saying, Sabrina, where were you 30 years ago when I was struggling, when I was lost, when I was confused? That's one of the things they're saying. They're also saying, I can't even figure out my own career. I don't even like my own job. We hear those stats about 80% of Canadians are unhappy in their work. They're drudging off to their job.
80%, that's incredible.
80% is a huge number, and it's true. They're sludging off to their job in the morning and they're not happy. They're saying, how can I help my teenager, my young adult, figure out their career and design their successful life when I can't even figure out mine? So it's exactly, that's why they're hiring a coach.
Oh, this is incredible. So you do this for a living.
This is my job.
This is your business. So how did you decide one day you wanted to be a career coach for youth?
My dad was an immigrant, and he came from a culture where education was everything. My father, bless his heart, told me from the time I was 4 years old that I should be a scientist. Not a doctor. He said, you should be a research scientist in genetic engineering and contribute new knowledge to the world that has never been discovered before. No pressure. And so I was a good girl. I was a strong student. I worked hard and I did sciences because my dad told me I should be a scientist. I went off to Queen's University. I did my life sciences degree. Alfonso, I don't have a clue what I was doing. I could do physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, organic. I could do it, but it was like swimming against the current. It was like writing with my left hand when I'm right-handed. I could do it, but I had to work really hard. Then, like so many other university or college students, I got to the end of my 4-year degree and thought, now what am I going to do? I wasn't going to be a doctor. I knew by then I shouldn't be a research scientist, so I got a job in sales. And interestingly, I could sell because I like to build relationships, but you know what? I hated that job. I was good at it, but I didn't like it. I didn't feel it aligned with my values. And so I went to see a career counselor. And you know what? Serendipitously, she wasn't very good. She was actually a very poor career counselor, and she pulled a copy of What Color Is Your Parachute off the shelf and said, well, I guess you could read this. I had read What Color Is Your Parachute, and I thought to myself, you're not doing a very good job. I could do a better job than you. And it was really a light bulb moment for me when I realized, wait a minute, I think I want to do your job. So I went back, I did my master's in education specializing in counseling, and I understood that this was my passion of helping young people find their way in the world, find their path.
So you kind of went more on a passion path, right?
Yeah.
You followed your passion. Is that how you teach the youth to kind of, you know, because their parents, I mean, I'm paying you money to coach my kids.
Yes.
Can you tell them to be a doctor, please?
No, I absolutely can't.
A lot of parents are going to say that to you, right?
It's true.
I want them to be doctors. I want them to be lawyers. Can you help him do that? Or do you tell them, you know what, his passion is to be an artist?
Right.
Right? So how do you kind of guide these kids?
Well, I would push back a little. I don't actually think, a lot of parents, you know what they say to me? They say, I don't care what my young adult does. I just want two things. I want them to be happy, and I want them to be stable. I want them to have a stable, successful life. They don't need to be millionaires. They don't need to have a prestigious job like a brain surgeon. I just want them to be happy and stable and successful. And so, but we do hear that, oh, you've got to follow your passion. And people say, how realistic is that, you know, to follow my passion? What I say is, as a career coach, I help you understand, who am I? What am I good at? There's something that you do better than most people. What am I interested in? What am I curious about? What really excites me or interests me? And furthermore, what do I value? What really motivates me? What would I do even if nobody paid me to do it? Well, you can take all of that information about yourself and you can overlay it with the world of work. And I'm talking the hard realities of what kind of jobs are really out there, and we look for the overlap, because there's a sweet spot there of what you're good at and what the world needs. And that's what I help young people to identify.
So do you see results? Do you see some kids, you know, just changing, you know, just like a light bulb, just, you know, I found what I want to do with my life? Because it's hard. I mean, at 15 years old, you start at 15, what are the age?
15 to 24.
15 to 24. So at 15 years old, I was lost.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone would have said, here is your design, this is what you got to follow, and then do you see like a light bulb? Like,
often I do. I'll tell you a really quick story of a client I just finished working with. She came to me, she's in her last year of high school. She has wonderful, devoted parents who love her very much. She was raised playing the violin. So she plays the violin beautifully, and raised in a family where music was really valued. She went off to Canterbury High School, which is the arts high school. The only career, so she's in her last year of high school, she's a very bright girl, applying to university. The only thing she could think of to apply to is music performance. So she's applying to all these music programs at different universities. But she was worried she wasn't good enough. She had some performance anxiety. And what else is out there? That's why her parents were paying me. You know what we discovered? She loves math.
wow.
In grade 11, she was taking grade 11 and grade 12 math and pulling off 90s. And she discovered she likes math, she likes physics. Sorry, you have a question.
No, I was going to ask, if someone is on a path of, you know, becoming a violinist, and all of a sudden they discover they like math, what do? How do you?
Well, she just hadn't really fully considered it. She hadn't really explored. You hear this term STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math. There's a lot of jobs out there in the STEM industry. and she hadn't even considered math. But that's the work I do, is I help them. We do two things. We simultaneously widen the scope. These are all the options that are available to you. And then we narrow it. These are the ones that fit your personality, your skills, your values, your interests. So we do two things simultaneously. So now this young woman who only had one option, she only thought of applying for music performance, is now applying for science and math, engineering and math at the University of Waterloo.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are some of the responses from the parents?
The response I've had from parents is overwhelming. They are so relieved. They are so happy that someone could finally help their young person figure out, what should I be doing with my life? And furthermore, they find that after their young people work with me, they've got more focus in school. You can work harder at something that you don't love. Maybe you don't love all those high school courses, but you can work harder at it if you know why you're doing it. If you have a clearly defined goal that you've set for yourself, I want to get into engineering at Waterloo, you're going to work harder in high school.
So, Sabrina, why 15? Why not start at 7 or 8?
Well, you should be starting. Parents around the dinner table should be fostering that self-awareness and that knowledge about the world of work when their children are around 7 and 8. But that can just happen at the dinner table. You know, when you notice who's changing your oil at the garage, would you like that job? When you notice someone come in to take your blood pressure, is that a job you'd be interested in? So I agree that at 7 or 8 you should be starting. But why 15? Because that is the beginning of the decision trees. It's in your second semester of grade 10, which is age 15, that you have to pick your courses for grade 11. And that's where you're going to begin to open doors or close doors. If in grade 10, that young girl decides, I'm not going to take math, I'm not going to take those science courses because they're too hard, and she doesn't really see why she should be taking them, that's the ideal age to start thinking about your career.
So just before we go in, and right now there's a lot of people, a lot of parents, maybe some youth out there listening. What are 3 tips that you can offer that they can just take and run with?
Okay. Number 1, know yourself. Answer that question, who am I? You can talk to your guidance counselor, your parents, read a book, or speak to a career coach. But know, what am I good at? What skills do I have? What am I curious about? What fascinates me? What motivates me? What kind of work environment do I want to work in? Do I want to work outside? Do I want to work in a forest? Do I want to work in an office job? Do I work best when I work alone? Or do I like a people environment, a teamwork environment? So get really clear about who you are. That's number 1. Number 2, do your research. You have the internet at your fingertips. You don't have to go to university. Maybe it's college. Maybe it's a skilled trade. Do your research. There is so much available to you, but you've got to do your research. And number 3, make connections with people. You get jobs, you get careers by talking to people. So even when you're 15, get on LinkedIn. You know, start networking with people. Make it easy to have conversations about who you are, and ask your neighbor, what do you do? So start making those connections with people, because that's how you're going to get a successful career.
Sabrina, I want to thank you so much for coming on this program and being a part and showing maybe parents out there, maybe you changed the course of some youth's lives today.
I hope so.
Stay tuned for more of Success by Design Show.